Howdy CEOs, and welcome to New Players Teaching New Players, Episode 2, the series where we pretty much talk about everything Prosperous Universe. And since you're probably watching this, I hope my first video allowed you to survive long enough to get to this next video. But if you're watching these videos back to back, the likelihood is fairly good, I hope. But before we move on, I just want to quickly plug my new corporation, Nascent Mercantile. If you're a new player, old player, or you just want to hang out with other nerds, you can find me on the Prosperous Universe Discord and shoot a message my way. We'd love to have you and get a little bit more organized. So anywho, today we're going to talk about your first screen setup and getting your base a little bit more organized. If you'd follow the tutorials on screen setup, you can probably skip this next part or watch it. It might give you some interesting insights on the screen management. So let's start off with a blank canvas. What's important? Well, honestly, that's kind of a matter of opinion. But I'd say for your first starter screen, you can't go wrong with whatever planets you chose for your first base. Now, something to keep in mind is, oddly enough, your base isn't actually built yet. But we'll get to that in a second. For now, let's just say that you picked Katoa, okay? It's in the Benton system. So here's where it gets interesting. You have a blank slate. You might have already forgot your unique identifier for your planet. See, Katoa is what everybody calls the planet that my base is at, but the game refers to the planet as UV-351A. Since that's a mouthful and you probably didn't write down your own planet's identifier, there's an extremely easy way to find it. The first step is to click the Map tab on your left sidebar. Now, make sure that the filter has your fleet selected. That's the map filter in the top right-hand corner. Your fleet will then show up on the map at wherever you wanted to start. Pick that planet. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to find the catalog ID for the next screen that opens up. In this case, Benton is UV351. Next, you're going to go down to the bottom left and click New BFR, or New Buffer. And you're going to type in the command MS. And then whatever your unique catalog ID was. So in my case, I would type in MSUV351. This is going to open up a system map where you can find the exact planet your fleet is stationed at. It's the little yellow triangle. Obviously, make sure that your fleet can be found in the map filter. And then once you open up this screen here, that will be the first permanent addition to your main screen. So then I would drag the blue bar, not the window, and attach it to your screen. You can split windows horizontally or vertically by hovering over the gear in the top right of the window. Here you're going to see a vertical line or a horizontal line. This will allow you to split your screen either way. The next screen I would probably open up is the Apex Global Chat. Since this is an MMO, it's probably a good idea to have a finger on the pulse of news. So I would open it up at a new buffer, and then I would type in the command comp, so C-O-M-P, global. Now I'm going to split my planet window horizontally, and I'm going to place this window right underneath it. Next, I'm probably going to want my CX's market handy at all times. So I'm going to split my planet screen vertically, and then I'm going to type in whatever my system CX is called. You can easily find your system CX by typing in the command CXL into a new buffer. Here you're going to see all the CXs in the galaxy. Since my nearest CX is the Benton CX, I'm going to select that one and put it next to my home base planet. After those three windows are open, I'm going to want to know about my fleet movements. At the beginning of the game, you're given 2 ships. So at the moment, I have 2 ships to monitor. So I'm going to open up this monitor with the FLT command in a new buffer. I'm going to split my market screen vertically again and plunk the fleet monitor right inside there. Now, we're going to take a brief intermission here from your screen setup to get to your base setup, as the next few screens we're about to place around your screen are going to be base-centric. So, to start your base, go over to the planet screen. Now, you should see a construct base or start base button on the right-hand corner of this screen. Now, it's going to probably ask you what plot you want to plunk your base on. Honestly, pick any. It really doesn't matter in the least what plot you use. And then bam, you've created your base as easy as that. Now, depending on what you want to produce, your next step is going to be to build places for your workers to work. You see, in Prosperous universe, there are a few tiers of population. Pioneers are going to be the backs that you will build your starter base on. And within a few weeks, you're probably going to move over into settlers. I'm going to save my population talk for another video. So all you really need to know is that pioneers are your baseline worker and settlers are your more specialer worker. My best recommendation is that if you can help it, keep the pioneers only for your first few weeks if you kind of want to keep your consumption burn rate low. However, there is something to be said about having settlers in your base right off the hop. Just keep in mind that in order to keep them happy and fed, it will cost a lot and maybe a bit more than you're prepared to spend or, worse off, even afford. So let's go back to your screen setup now and open up a new screen for your newly established base. To open this, you're going to type in the letters in a new buffer, BS. This is going to open up a new intermediate buffer that you will click the View Base button on. Now let's split our global chat vertically and insert this base right beside it. Once this window is open, you're going to be able to take a look at constructing the habitats your workers are going to work in. That's probably a good step one. But before we even do that, we need to figure out how many workers we're going to need. So, depending on your chosen starter package, I'm hoping that you can navigate to figure out what buildings you need. But if you're still a bit lost, don't worry. I'm going to give you some guidance in the form of example. So, since I'm pumping out fuel, and I had every intent to mine galerite from the planet's surface that I'm on, I'm going to navigate to the Resources tab and find the extractor. This is the baseline machine that I'm going to use and build to extract ore out of the ground. Now, when I take a look at the extractor, I can see that I'm going to need 60 pioneers. Write that number down somewhere. Now, after extracting this ore, I'm going to buy some other components from the market in order to make fuel. To make this fuel, I'm going to need, obviously, a refinery. So, I'm going to navigate through the Pioneer and Settlers tabs until I find the refinery. Now, I see that the refinery needs about 60 pioneers and 20 settlers. So in total, I need about 120 pioneers and 20 settlers. However, an odd fact is that I can actually operate my refinery with just pioneers alone. However, it's going to operate at a lower efficiency until I can provide the refinery with settlers if I choose to go with just pioneer habitats. So, all that to be said, my best recommendation is that if you're just a newcomer to this game, just build pioneer habitats exclusively, even if your buildings require settlers. However, if you think you're up to the challenge of providing your base with exoskeleton work suits and power tools and increased drinking water and ration use, have at it. It actually might be better for you in the long run. Use your gut feeling on this one. So, once you've found out how many workers you're going to need, you're going to need to build the required habitats. Fun fact, there's 50-50 options available to you in the form of barracks. So if you want to build a habitat that has a mix of pioneers and settlers, you're able to do so. After your habitats are built, you're now going to build the machinery and factories required to produce the good that you wish to produce. This is going to lead us to the last two screens for this basic screen tutorial. You're going to need to see how many goods your base consumes to produce your product. So I would split my fleet screen vertically and open up a new screen by clicking the workforce button on my home base screen. I would place this screen right next to my fleet. And then the final screen I would open up is my production line screen by clicking the production button on my home base screen and splitting my home base vertically and placing it next to it. Okay, so you should find yourself with your entire base ready to operate.
Howdy everybody, Future Bear here. As I was editing this video, I realized that I didn't actually talk about your base's inventory, which is like a very critical component to your screen management thing. So anywho, how you open up this screen is I would split the base vertically again, and I would open up your inventory screen on your left-hand side of your base with the command INV, and that'll open up your inventory so you can actually see what's in your base with regards to product. All right, back to the video.
So your next move should probably be having the required materials to produce a few units of your goods right off the hop. Or you can start extracting minerals right out of the planet, hopefully. I would start those up by going to your production line screen and clicking New Order. From here, I can create a new production order. Using the filter, I can actually also filter through the products my refinery can produce, but with extractors, you're typically only limited to whatever ore or mineral is on your planet. Next, I would probably queue up a few of these and I would do a consumption calculator. So I would figure out how much drinking water, rations, and overalls I'm going to need for 10 days of production to feed my pioneers. Now, these two other consumables, caffeinated infusion and padded work overalls, are special efficiency boosters that are more luxury in nature and not required for your workforce to produce. After you have come up with about a 10-day consumption calculator, because that's where I started with, I would set your ship on a path straight to the market. But this video is already way too long to dive into that, so I'll see you in the next time when we head to the market and start our day trading addiction. One last little bonus tip I'll mention quick is that if you're limited to one monitor or you don't want to keep redoing your screen over and over again and fitting new screens in there and just want to jump from one screen template to the other, you can actually do that by using the screens button in the top left of your screen and create a new template to build a whole new screen off of. See, I've built a few for tracking my finances, tracking the price of fuel, and other handy screens I find useful. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Till next time.